Let me not appeal to your pleasantries, nor indulge the decorum of the herd. Instead, I ask you to consider a far more subversive proposition: that the formidable confidence you've spent a lifetime chasing has not eluded you. It has been suffocated within you, not by fate nor by your lack of discipline, but by a far more treacherous force: obedience. There lies in every man a sovereign, a ruler whose very breath disrupts the order of mediocrity. But long before your crown could rest upon your brow, they trained you to bow instead. And this is where your ruin began. Not in failure, not in weakness, but in your exquisite ability to comply, to be agreeable, to nod, to smile when scorned, to thank your captors with the very tone they conditioned you to use. You see, the masses do not fear lions. They fear the man who refuses to ask permission before roaring. You were not born to be docile, but they fed you lullabies disguised as virtue, and now you sleepwalk through life wrapped in chains you've mistaken for charm. It is not humility they taught you. It is domestication. What separates the sovereign from the servant is not strength. It is refusal. Refusal to delude himself to meet the comfort levels of the many. Refusal to explain himself to those who cannot grasp his frequency. And most of all, refusal to betray his instincts for the illusion of safety. True command is not developed. It is remembered. It is not taught in seminars or bestowed in books. It is recalled like an ancestral drumbeat that has been muffled by generations of obedience. The question is not whether you have power. It is whether you dare to remove the muzzle and listen to it again. Your mind was not conquered with chains, but with compliments. You're so easy to work with, they say. So polite. Yet every word, every nod, every thank you offered after an insult is another stone in your own tomb. They taught you how to convert every slight into a smile, every loss into understanding, and every rebellion into guilt. And you mastered it. You are their most elegant creation, a man with the fire of war in his belly, who learned to apologize for breathing too loudly. The transformation will not come gently. It must be violent, not outwardly, but internally. The first head you must sever is the one whispering, "Be reasonable." For a reason is the leash they place around your ambition. Every missed opportunity you chalked up to timing was in fact a betrayal by the timid voice you've let steer your life. Not because you didn't know what to say, but because you feared being seen saying it. Let me be uncomfortably direct. The voice inside you that masquerades as caution is not your protector. It is your warden. It holds you in a cell of false diplomacy. It tells you not to demand, but to request. Not to assert, but to suggest. Not to command, but to hope. But sovereignty never begs. Sovereignty assumes. You think you've chosen your path? Number. You've inherited it from a lineage of frightened teachers, anxious parents, and resigned peers who settled for acceptability over authority. They handed you a blueprint for living that prioritized being liked over being felt. But rulers are not remembered for being polite. They are remembered because their very presence made silence more profound, more charged, more difficult to fill. You recall moments of your life where you felt the heat rising in your chest, the sting of injustice, the throb of humiliation, the quiet ache of suppressed defiance. You didn't lack the words then. You lacked permission. And this, precisely this, is what must be exiled from your kingdom: the habit of awaiting clearance to embody your own force. Now, examine your posture. Every time you tilt your head down, you affirm a lesser role. Every deferential tone from your lips is a resignation letter to your potential. You do not speak as if your words carve stone. You whisper as though hoping they evaporate before being judged. This is not strategy. This is self-erasure. Imagine instead entering a room not with loudness, but with such exact silence that the walls lean in. That is dominance. It is not declared. It is felt. Let us dissect your rituals. Each just checking in you offer in emails is a coded transmission that says, "I am beneath you." Each "no worries" sent after a violation is a plea to remain tolerable. You've been trained not to ask what you want. You've been trained to hope it's offered. But sovereignty begins with the erasure of hope. Hope is the prayer of the powerless. Rulers do not hope. They calculate. They maneuver. They install themselves at the center of every situation and force the world to orbit accordingly. You've tasted flashes of this. When you stood firm, when you didn't flinch, when you said no and offered no elaboration. In those brief seconds, you remembered. It is time to stop flirting with power and finally claim it. This reclamation requires no audience, no speech, no validation. It begins with the severing of old mental architecture. Dismantle the altar where you've worshipped approval. Tear down the scaffolding of politeness built around your spine. Replace it with steel. Do not ask how this looks. Ask only whether it aligns with rule. And when they protest, because they will, for your rebirth will offend those who profited from your restraint, do not flinch. Let their discomfort be your coronation. You owe them no explanation. To reclaim your dignity, you must become fluent in 2 languages, command and silence. Speak decisively, or not at all. Do not dilute your intention with qualifiers. When you decide, do not decorate your verdict. When you speak, speak as though your words require no confirmation to exist. Because they don't. The sovereign does not submit his declarations to the court of consensus. When you are challenged, do not rush to defend. Instead, step back. Withdraw your energy. Leave them grappling with the absence of your concern. Let their need for a reaction become their punishment. This is not pettiness. This is power conservation. You see, power is not in motion. Power is in stillness that does not need to chase or bark or boast. A sovereign silence is louder than a servant's scream. Retrain your physiology. The servant's breath is shallow. The ruler's breath is deep, patient, anchored in the belly. The servant flinches. The ruler absorbs. The servant apologizes with every gesture. The ruler occupies space without asking if he may. Every fiber of your being must be re-educated to reflect your rule. There is no longer room for contradiction between your thoughts and your stance, your intentions and your gaze. When you say, "I will," the world must believe it not because you pleaded, but because you stated it with the gravity of a man whose every syllable rewrites expectations. Every morning, dress not for acceptance, but for presence. Every interaction, enter not for approval, but to establish gravity. You are not a guest in these rooms. You are the architect, the builder, the storm. And as for kindness, retain it. But only if it is deliberate, only if it is sovereign, not the kindness that pleads, but the one that commands peace by its very posture. The lion need not bite to remind others of his teeth. Let your softness be a velvet sheath to your blade, not a substitute for it. Let others feel the weight of your consideration, not your craving for their comfort. Tomorrow, someone will test you, not because they hate you, but because your previous self invited such trespass. When it happens, do not prepare to defend. Prepare to rule. Assume that their challenge is merely the echo of old programming, a reminder of the man you buried. Let your response, or your absence of one, be so measured, so devoid of nervous energy, that it unsettles them. That is how rulers are born. Not with noise, but with the kind of certainty that does not blink. The world is ruled not by those with loud intentions, but by those whose very breath alters rooms. And when you walk in from this day forward, let your presence speak a language only power can understand. Not because you seek conquest, but because you finally refuse to be conquered. You have begun the withdrawal, not of affection, but of indulgence. The old you, the one who bent before expectation, who adjusted his rhythm to keep the noise of others comfortable, is being disassembled piece by piece. But before sovereignty can be built, the terrain must be scorched, and that terrain is your daily performance of subservience. How you breathe, how you speak, how you enter a room as if it does not belong to you, even when your presence is the only reason it has meaning. There is a poison in your tone, one disguised as diplomacy. It dilutes your authority before you even complete a sentence. Your speech has been compromised by years of unchallenged rules written by men who required quiet, agreeable masses to make their own assent seem deserved. You still lace your words with uncertainty, not because you are unsure, but because you fear what certainty might provoke in others. But hear me well. Those who win do not fear provocation. They weaponize it. You must begin with the death of the question mark. Every time you turn a statement into a hesitant inquiry, you submit a request for approval. You may think you're being considerate. You are not. You are volunteering for chains. The sovereign never begs agreement. He announces verdicts as if their truth were already embedded in stone. Listen to your own recordings, your voicemails, your meetings, your casual greetings. Count the apologies. Tally the hesitations. Catalog every just and maybe and sort of, like markings of submission branded into your mouth. Each is a confession. I do not yet believe I deserve the space I occupy. Do you understand how often you apologize for merely existing? Begin the purge. From this moment, every unnecessary syllable becomes currency you can no longer afford to waste. When you speak, your sentences should move like soldiers, clean, sharp, deliberate. You are not here to entertain doubt or perform politeness. You are here to assert a frequency so unshakable that the room forgets to blink. This is not arrogance. This is architecture. You are rebuilding your mind from scaffolding built to serve others into a fortress that cannot be breached by emotional triviality. There will be resistance, not only from others, but from within. Your nervous system will panic. It has been trained to equate stillness with danger, silence with threat, certainty with aggression. This is not instinct. It is programming, installed into you since childhood by institutions that needed you compliant, predictable, manageable. Your mother taught you to nod, even when you disagreed. Your teachers praised your restraint, not your insight. Your bosses gave raises to the silent, not the strategic. You've been rewarded for being digestible and punished the moment you radiated complexity. Sovereignty has no space in such a system. That is why you were always told to tone it down, to wait your turn, to consider how others might feel. But consider this. A lion never checks the mood of the herd before feeding. Let us now reconstruct how your voice must function in this new era. Start with command energy. Not louder, but lower, calmer, unhurried. That is how you speak when you are not seeking to be understood, but preparing to be obeyed. Speak as if your words weigh something. Each phrase should carry density, not decoration. Do not explain unless the explanation serves your aim. Do not elaborate to soothe. Do not fill silence with fragments of anxious filler. The sovereign leaves space between his words, and others lean forward to fill that vacuum. This is how gravity is created. You do not need to chase influence. You allow others to fall into your field. You've lived too long in nervous performance. The constant nodding, the lean-in body posture, the frantic gesturing, all attempts to signal friendliness, to minimize your perceived threat. But understand this: minimizing yourself will never make you more loved. It only makes you more forgettable. There is no reward at the end of the path of politeness, only obscurity. While you were nodding, someone else was claiming. Conduct this experiment. For the next 24 hours, eliminate every non-essential gesture. No nodding, no apologetic laughter, no restless shifting. When someone speaks to you, hold your gaze without adornment. Let your stillness speak. They will panic. They will fill the air with empty words. They will try to resurrect the old version of you, the agreeable one, the soft one, the one who flinched. Do not resurrect him. Let him rot. The body must be brought into this rebellion. Your physiology has been a tool of your subjugation. The way you stand, the way you fold inward, the slope of your shoulders. They've been speaking fear long before your mouth has. And everyone, whether they admit it or not, knows how to read the language of weakness. Your breath shall be your first weapon. Begin by restoring it. No more shallow inhalations that signal prey behavior. Breathe deep from the abdomen, like a man who does not fear consequence. This alone will alter how you are perceived, even before you've uttered a word. Your walk, too, must be adjusted. No more quick, apologetic strides that announce you're in a hurry to justify your presence. Move deliberately, as if the ground belongs to you, as if the walls exist to frame your path. Sovereignty does not require spectacle. It demands precision. There will be moments, many, when your voice will quake, your posture will slip, and the remnants of the inner servant will attempt resurrection. In those moments, do not curse yourself. Instead, observe. Document the exact triggers. Who caused the hesitation? What was the context? Where did your mind regress to? These are not failures. These are coordinates for conquest. Each slip reveals a part of the fortress not yet claimed. Let us speak of silence now. You have misunderstood it your whole life. You thought it awkward, weak, empty. But silence is the sword of kings. It slices through posturing and forces others to wrestle with themselves in your presence. When you do not respond immediately, you force recalibration. When you delay a reaction, you declare dominance without ever naming it. In your silence, they will see themselves more clearly, and they will not like what they find. Let that discomfort serve you. In strategy, reaction is weakness. The one who moves second moves stronger. Practice the power pause. When challenged, do not rush to reply. Instead, let the moment hang. Maintain eye contact. Breathe. Allow your stillness to disorient. They expect the old you, the quick to placate, quick to explain, quick to soften. Show them that man is dead. If you speak, let it be with the weight of inevitability. You will be accused of being cold. Good. Warmth has been your leash for too long. You will be labeled difficult. Excellent. Easiness has only ever made you replaceable. You will be called arrogant. Let them. Arrogance is the name the insecure give to unapologetic self-possession. Do not argue. Let them name your rule however they wish, for names are the domain of the small-minded. You are here to govern, not to be described. Now, let us discuss withdrawal. There are those in your orbit who feast on the version of you that apologizes. They thrive on your predictability. Your reactions feed their control. Withdraw that access, not with anger, with calculation. Shorten your replies. Delay your acknowledgments. Cancel your availability. Let them feel the scarcity of your energy. Do not announce the change. Embody it. You will be told you are different. Take that as confirmation. The sovereign does not explain transitions. He initiates them. Your withdrawal is not a tantrum. It is a revaluation of access. You are teaching the marketplace of relationships that your energy is not free. It is not a buffet for others to sample at will. It is a rare currency, and its price has just risen. Begin building your day with this truth. Every breath, every step, every glance is either declaring your rule or surrendering it. There is no neutral act. The way you answer a call, the posture you hold during confrontation, the words you choose to deny without guilt, all of them are notes in the symphony of sovereignty. You have believed for too long that leadership is bestowed. It is not. It is claimed. And you do not claim it through inspiration. You claim it through presence. The weight of your certainty must be so heavy that it bends the behavior of others. You do not shout to be heard. You stand so still, so certain, that silence amplifies your will. From this day, consider every word spoken by others not as threat, but as data. Every insult is a map of their fear. Every provocation is a window into their scarcity. You are not at war with people. You are at war with the part of yourself that still feels the need to respond to their insecurities. You will stop reacting. You will start orchestrating. The sovereign mind does not engage in battle with noise. It simply renders it irrelevant through its own frequency. This is not about suppression. It is about redirection. Your emotions are not your enemies. They are your informants. Listen to them, but do not hand them the crown. Your anger? Use it. It tells you where your boundaries have been trampled. Your resentment? Study it. It shows you where you've given too much. Your discomfort? Respect it. It reveals where you've been pretending. But do not speak from these places. Speak after them, after they've passed through the filter of strategy. You are no longer a servant of your reactions. This transformation is not cosmetic. It is chemical. When you act from command, your brain rewires. Testosterone rises. Cortisol drops. You are literally programming your biology to align with your destiny. This is not theory. It is war. Each interaction is a test of your identity. You either reinforce the sovereign or resurrect the slave. Choose your words like weapons. Choose your posture like armor. Choose your silence like siege. The throne is not vacant. It's simply been waiting for you to remember where you placed it. There will come a moment when you no longer ask, "Am I becoming powerful?" But instead observe that the world has begun to respond differently. Hesitantly, respectfully, even fearfully. You won't need to declare your assent. You won't even need to explain your metamorphosis. You will simply walk into rooms and feel the collective shift, as if gravity itself adjusted to accommodate you. That is the mark of one who has abandoned the theater of submission and assumed the true nature of command, not borrowed, not rehearsed, but remembered. Let me remind you, though, that remembering comes at a cost. You will lose friends. You will disturb mentors. You will offend those who once felt taller in your shadowed posture. Do not grieve these losses. They are necessary offerings to the altar of your sovereignty. A lion who stretches to full height will inevitably force the jackals to scatter. That is not cruelty. That is nature reclaiming its rhythm. Now, let us examine the nature of energy, an elusive substance you've spent your life misusing. You have flung it recklessly into empty conversations, apologetic gestures, smiles meant to preempt judgment, nods made to ease tension, explanations that begged no question. You bled energy into the ether for one purpose only, to remain palatable. But let me offer you a new principle. Your energy is your border. It must be patrolled, conserved, and weaponized. Every time you speak, you open a gate. Every time you react without pause, you surrender a post. And every time you explain yourself where none has earned the privilege of understanding, you draw a map to your center. You are not a museum. You are a fortress. Those who wish access must pay a toll. Begin your mornings by reclaiming the territory of identity. Before the world creeps in with its obligations and noise, stand before your reflection not to inspect your face, but to fortify your posture. Look into your eyes until you meet not the expression you're used to seeing, but the one that frightens you, the one that knows. That knowing is not new, it is ancient. It is the sovereign you've locked behind politeness. Declare 3 truths before your day begins. Not dreams, not goals, truths. I do not chase, I do not bend, I do not explain. You do not say these things for motivation. You say them to remind the architecture of your nervous system who runs this kingdom. Your spine will listen, your breath will deepen, and by the time you cross your threshold into the world, you will carry your atmosphere with you. Now, on to the matter of presence. Presence is not theatrical. It is gravitational. It is the felt weight of a person who has nothing to prove, no need to decorate his power with charm or noise. A sovereign's presence announces itself in silence. That is why when you truly arrive, others falter, words stick in throats, and smiles turn unsure. They are recalibrating around your field. Let them. You will feel this new atmosphere when you say less, not because you are unsure, but because your silence now has density. You no longer speak to gain traction. You speak only when your words are necessary to shape terrain. If it can be conveyed with a glance, a pause, a look, then let that be enough. The sovereign does not labor for understanding. He is not here to teach the unworthy how to receive him. Let us also turn our attention to conflict, for nothing exposes your position on the hierarchy like confrontation. In such moments, the old self will tremble. It will wish to explain, to appease, to soften. Ignore that impulse. The sovereign does not scramble to defend. He listens. He gathers intelligence. He watches how others flinch when pressed. He collects not just words, but patterns. To confront is not to argue. It is to extract. A person who strikes you verbally is offering you a gift, a precise map to their weakness. Why would you waste time returning fire when you could simply read their coordinates and plan their irrelevance? Conflict, when mastered, is never reaction. It is orchestration. The man who attacks you exposes his own emotional debt. You need only decide whether to profit from it. There is an art to not responding, a grace in withholding. Those who lack presence fill silence with noise. You, however, will leave silence untouched. Let them circle the void you leave. Let them project, unravel self-sabotage. Your power is not in the volume of your voice, but in the discipline of your restraint. You must train yourself to view provocations not as battles, but as ballots. Each attempt to agitate you is a vote of their insecurity. Each insult, a referendum on their inner disorder. Do not get dragged into debates with men who seek elevation through conflict. Instead, redirect. Say, noted. Say, we'll revisit. Say nothing at all. Let your absence of reaction become their punishment. Now hear this. The sovereign's greatest strength is not certainty. It is adaptability, but not the kind that bends for comfort. Number. It is the ability to shift strategy without betraying essence. Be unpredictable, but never incoherent. One day silence, the next precision, then a wave of charisma, then distance again. Do not let them pattern you. A man without rhythm is a man without control. You are not a statue. You are a storm. Let them attempt to brace for your pattern and discover they have been studying yesterday's weather. Next comes the mastery of containment. Your emotions, anger, fear, ambition, must be sealed like priceless weaponry, not hidden, contained, displayed only when calculated. Let others broadcast their wounds, their wants, their worries. It is the style of the modern weak man, this addiction to transparency. You are not in the business of self-disclosure. You are in the business of power distribution. When you do reveal, let it be like the opening of a vault. Brief, measured, impactful. Your mystery must not confuse. It must command. People should feel that your silence is not emptiness, but strategy. That behind your eyes sits a man who is always deciding. We move now to withdrawal, the true test of power. When one disrespects you, you do not engage. You exit, not loudly, cleanly. The sovereign does not beg for changed behavior. He rewards it when it appears and vanishes when it does not. This is not cruelty. It is law. You set your price not by what you demand, but by what you walk away from. And when you do withdraw, emotionally, physically, socially, do not return. Absence must be complete. Partial disappearance is confusion. Total withdrawal is education. Let your silence be the echo that teaches them value in your absence. And when they come looking, let them find a door that is no longer there. Your identity, at this stage, must be weaponized. No longer a passive concept, but an active strategy. You must ask not, who am I? But who must I become to take what is mine? This is not fiction. This is precision. The man who wins is not the one who discovers himself. He is the one who designs himself to dominate his environment. You must rehearse this design daily. Morning rituals are not for aesthetics. They are for warfare. Command phrases must be memorized and recited. Phrases that kill hesitation. Phrases that install rule. I do not flinch. I do not adjust. I do not owe. Each phrase is a strike against the past, a declaration to the future. This is identity as architecture. Every behavior, a beam. Every decision, a nail. Every boundary, a wall. You are building a castle whose doors open only inward. Let others knock. Let them guess. You owe no key. Understand this. Power is not a costume you wear when convenient. It is a second skin. Those who try to turn it on will always be undone in moments of true pressure. Sovereignty must be default, not performance. the voice, the gaze, the stillness. They must be forged until instinct. Do not become confident. Become dangerous. Dangerous, not in the sense of harm, but of unpredictability, of gravity, of consequence. When you speak, let others feel the cost of not listening. When you move, let others adjust instinctively. This is not charisma, it is voltage. You become the electrical current others must avoid or respect. And should they resist, let them. Do not persuade. Let them fall behind. This is the separation, the division between those who continue to negotiate with their insecurities and those who have installed their rule as law. No longer are you part of the conversation of compromise. You are no longer in pursuit of confidence. You are its embodiment, its executor. You are the unspoken gravity in every interaction, the mirror that reveals the weakness in others without needing to reflect it outward. The transformation is complete, not when others say you've changed, but when you yourself feel the futility in ever returning to the old frame. When politeness tastes like poison, when softness burns your mouth, when every apology feels like betrayal, that is when you will know your inner slave has died. There is no eulogy, only silence. From this day forth, you do not seek respect. You extract it. You do not hope for opportunity. You summon it. You do not plead for belonging. You install dominance until space makes way for your presence. You are no longer a man waiting to be chosen. You are a ruler building a realm where others must qualify to enter. And if ever doubt whispers to you again, if ever the old voice returns to question, soften or submit, smile. Not kindly, not regretfully, but like a king standing over the unmarked grave of the ghost that once ruled him. This is the last time you look back. Let the weak wonder what happened. Let the timid beg for your secrets. Let the cowards write you off as cold. You are not here to be understood. You are here to rule. And rulers do not explain, they arrive.